Hi, this is Bill Frank reporting for KDTV. We're here at the CERF forecast for the economy in Ventura County for 2013, and I'm joined by Bill Watkins. Bill is the Executive Director for the Center for Economic Research and Forecasting, and Bill has just delivered the 2013 forecast for Ventura County. Bill, thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you.
So I want to start with unemployment is the topic. We have 25,000 fewer jobs today than we did in October of 2007, prior to the beginning of the recession. And in your forecast, you say that job growth is going to be non-existent in 2013 for Ventura County. So it's a two-part question. First of all, why do you say that? And secondly, this late in a recovery from a recession, why does that bother you?
Can I do it backwards?
You can do it backwards.
All right. The fact that it's this late in a recovery indicates that this is just an extraordinarily weak recovery, probably at least as weak as anything we've seen since the Depression, and so that weak recovery is disturbing, and the forecast is that it continues, and we're looking at that. Why is it so weak in Ventura? Two things. One, the national recovery has been extraordinarily weak, and the other thing is that, in a sense, coastal California is elected to not grow very fast. We've made decisions to say we want to keep the congestion low on the freeways, we want to keep agriculture, we want to keep our views, and if our kids have to go to New York to have a job, well, that's what happens.
Specifically, you're referring to SOAR, the Save Our Open Space and Agriculture Resources.
It's not that, it's everything. You know, I showed a slide with Taylor Caldwell, who said if it can't be done in California, it can't be done. Well, that's just not the case. Everything in California is hard. You're remodeling a house is hard. And it's just gotten to be so that the process, you've got to kiss so many rings, get blessed by so many people, that it's, and everything needs to be a consensus. It's just extremely difficult to do anything in California.
All right, let me change it up for you and talk about demographics if I can.
Okay.
What role will demographics play in the recovery, if any, in 2013?
Well, I think that the demographics, both Dan Walters and I talked about demographics, kind of an indication we think it's important. What's happening is that migration has reversed itself. Now, for 7 consecutive years, more people have left California than came to California. This is the only time we've seen anything like that was 4 years in the 1990. Before that, we have data going back to 1905, but I'm pretty sure it goes back all the way to 1850. Migration has been to California, not away. And that is an indication of the lack of opportunity here. People are going, they're voting with their feet, where they can have a job, where they can afford a house, where they can raise a family and have a career. And so that is part, and the people who are leaving are people what I call with the mojo. These are people that are willing to make the changes, uproot themselves, move away from mom and dad, whatever it takes, and in order to grab that opportunity. And so I think we're losing an important part of our population. The result will be, sort of old rich people and younger, very poor people trying to take, doing the services and the ag and stuff like that.
The newlywed and the nearly dead, as they say.
Pretty much like Santa Barbara, sure.
Very much like Santa Barbara. All right, what advice, Bill, do you have for business people who have heard the forecast that you have for 2013? What advice would you give somebody who had a small business in Ventura County?
Okay, you have to understand. I spent my career as either a banker or an economist. These are not risk-taking positions. Every person I know that has made a large amount of money in their own lifetime has taken big risks. Risks that I'm personally not willing to take, and they see opportunities. They see things different. You got to let them decide where it is. I generally, one possibility is you try to grab market share as the economy is weak, but that's I don't know how to do it.
All right. Very political answer in this political year 2012. Let me change it up and get some specifics if I can, because you alluded to this in your talk about the growth of the monetary supply. It has trebled since we began the Great Recession, which is a very worrisome thing. You talked about it in regards to interest rates, but I want to talk about it in regards to inflation. With the trebling of the monetary supply, when, if ever, do you think we will start to see inflation affect us here in Ventura County?
We'll see inflation start to affect us when there's a broad-based economic recovery, when banks and businesses are borrowing on a more normal basis. based on our forecast, we don't have to worry about that anytime real soon.
Well, we can check that off the list. All right. Let's talk about some specific things. President Obama was reelected in this past election in November, which means that Obamacare is here to stay. Ventura County is very strong in the healthcare industry. What impact, if any, is Obamacare going to have on our local economy? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Or is it neutral?
Well, it's a good thing or a bad thing depending on what you want to spend your money for. And it's going to increase the cost of business. It's probably going to decrease the degrees of freedom that healthcare providers have. It may limit the cost that they can charge. You know, so there's going to be some cost to it. You don't all of a sudden insure 35 million new people and not have a cost associated with it. So who's going to pay for it? Healthcare providers will pay for a small amount of it. Small businesses and workers will pay for the other part of it.
And in that regards, how's that going to affect employment and specifically unemployment? Will you see...
Anytime you raise the cost of employment, you cause employment pressures to decrease employment. It's just going to make it that much harder to have a robust recovery.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of initiatives that were passed, Prop 30 passed. That was Governor Brown's money to help education, or so they said. What impacts is Prop 30 going to have on the local economy?
Well, it's going to make the state revenues more volatile. It's going to, again, that's another pressure against business formation, business growth. And so a little bit of slowdown there, increased volatility, and in the long run, it doesn't solve the school's problems, and it's at best a Band-Aid, and so it's going to be a real challenge for them as we go down the road.
All right, Bill, let me shotgun a couple of quick questions at you, and these are on the macro level, the United States level. Now that President Obama has been reelected, what do you foresee the future of some of his cabinet members and chief advisors, specifically Timothy Geithner, Secretary of the Treasury? Will he stay or will he go in the second term?
I'm pretty sure he goes.
Good thing or bad thing?
It's fine with me.
Okay. Second one, Ben Bernanke. Does he stay or does he go?
Bernanke stays. And, you know, it's tough to second guess that position. And while I don't think I would have been quite so free with the monetary base, I can't criticize them. You know, they're under an extraordinary amount of pressure. Because of fiscal policy, the Fed was really given few choices. And this is what we call, when I teach, is fiscal dominance. The fiscal authority can force the monetary authority to do what they have to do if the monetary policy cares about people. And I know Ben Bernanke does care about people, and the people in the Fed do. So I believe they had a little choice.
My guest has been Bill Watkins, who is the Executive Director for the Center of Economic Research and Forecasting at California Lutheran University. This is Bill Frank reporting for KADY TV.